In my opinion, ISO is the duelist that benefits the most from having good macro and understanding the game from a macro sense. And I think that Haven is going to be the map to kind of demonstrate this on. So I do have like a basics guide to Haven on YouTube that you can go watch. I'll probably put it in the description, so the link will probably be there. But I will like do basically the main premise of it, where essentially on Haven there's 3 sites, and there's going to be 5 defenders, which means that we are guaranteed to have a 1 defender site somewhere. Well, pretty much guaranteed. I mean, otherwise it's going to be 0, right? 1 or 0, essentially. And ISO benefits a lot from taking isolated fights, as his name might imply. And this is for different reasons, basically. I think, so basically, he really benefits from taking sites versus isolated players, because his wall is really strong versus isolated players, as if there's only one player to think about, then you can send the wall at them, and this is where the wall is good.
Making cover.
So it doesn't matter if the wall presents more angles as it moves through the terrain, because there's only one player on the site anyway. So you won't have to worry about all these like random ass angles if you know where you know where the player is, right? And then you know that they can't shoot you from there. Obviously, you can give them like a free cross and things like that, but other than that, it's fine. His fragile is pretty good versus an isolated player once again, but I think it is also really good as like a set play tool anyway. And can be good versus multiple players, as it is like AoE, and it's really good for clearing lines, or not really clearing lines like Paranoia could, but like it's more like threatening those lines that if you fight me in these lines, you're going to have a disadvantage. And yeah, that's kind of why I think the fragile is probably his best ability. When it comes to like his, I don't know what it's called, focusing, what's it called? Double tap. When it comes to his double tap, this to me is like really slow version of Reyna, where he has to put himself in a disadvantage to get the advantage, when Reyna doesn't really have to do that. Because he has to shoot the orb, right? So he has to shoot the orb and then readjust before he can actually shoot anyone, right? And I think that means that it's going to be more of like a solo fight type of ability, where you want to kind of lurk with it to get like real value. Otherwise, you're putting it traded before you can actually get the value. So what I think is quite strong on ISO is actually just lurking. I think if you can do like a lurk and then join up with your team, you can be quite strong, because you can get a kill off the macro. So for instance, like a lot of defenders like to rotate through B. So, and you'll see a lot of killjoys, or like even in some cases like breach in some pro games, will actually be cutting off some of these rotations. It's not like completely in fact, it's like very common, right? And I think ISO can actually do this as well, where he can get a free kill, get his orb, and then go join up with his team with the armor, right? I think that's like a potentially viable thing to do on ISO, because getting that solo kill that can't be traded basically eliminates the part where he's weak, and I think that can be quite strong for him in particular. Even though I don't think it's anywhere near as strong as what Reyna can give, I do think that he has like different ways to play that Reyna doesn't, and that's one of them. That he can kind of take that benefit with him to his team. I guess technically she can do it with the heal, but not with the dismiss. But ISO can do it regardless, right? So there are some like prices, there's some pros, some cons to the differences of their kit, but that's one of the ones that I see that he's pretty decent at lurking. And lastly, I'm going to go for his ult, and his ult does benefit a lot from the like macro of Haven, where there's going to be one player alone, and if you ult that one player that's alone, then you're going to take them into a 1v1, and they're going to have like a little portal appear, like we saw in the teasers in Sunset. They're going to have like a little a little portal appear on the floor, and your team can easily get the kill when they reappear if you lose, and if you win, then you win, right? They took the site for free, especially good versus like things like Killjoy, and basically there's tons of agents that he's strong against. Killjoy and Cypher are the main two really for taking sites, but if you are on defense and they're taking trying to take space against you, then even like ulting, and then maybe you catch like a KO that's about to ult, or something like that, a raise ult, things like that. I think ISO has one of the best ults in the game, because it can simply just counter so many other ults. Even a Viper Pit as well, if you're attacking into a Viper Pit. I think ISO he's one of the few agents that make it viable to go attack into the Viper Pit. And we might actually end up seeing him things like Bind because of that. Also Breeze as well. Breeze and Bind, I think he might see play because of the play of Viper. But we'll see. You know, I'm not 100% sure I know these things, but I do think he's viable versus certain agents like Viper. He can be really strong alternative to KO or Yoru or something like that. against Viper. And so yeah, that's it for the video. Just a very small kind of video going over like his kind of macro and what I think where he will kind of appear. I do think he'll definitely see play on Haven and Lotus because of the way the macro is played. I'm not sure if that's going to be the same in pro play. I think in pro play, the slots are really like pressed on. So I don't think he's going to see play. If he does see play, it's from Paper X or EDG. From like some of the top teams anyway. Some of the lower teams that maybe I don't know too much about, they might end up playing ISO as well, but I don't know. But yeah, I think EDG and PRX have the highest chance of playing ISO on pro play, and I do think it's going to be either Bind, Breeze, Haven, or Lotus that he gets played on. I don't see it being any other map, and I think the Bind and Breeze are. Well, Bind is definitely more situational because I don't think he's good necessarily on the map 100%. He's good with the rotations though. And I think that's going to be the same with Lotus, where he's good with the rotations, but the benefit is that it's also a 3 bomb site map, so he gets the macro advantage too, and the advantages from like the way the rotations work in those 2 maps. I think Breeze is one of those maps that have the extremities, so he can take advantage of those. With the isolated Viper, the isolated Cypher on both sides, and obviously Haven take advantage of the macro quite a bit. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one.